Unlock your digital dreams. This is New Deep Dive.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to unpack the knowledge you need to be, well, truly well-informed. Today we're jumping into something really fascinating, bit of a mystery actually. How can we genuinely protect our hearts, our arteries, from disease, and maybe even reverse damage in ways that might just challenge everything you thought you knew? I mean, what if conditions like atherosclerosis, which most people think are like a one-way street, what if you could actually undo them? We came across this incredible story. It really sets the scene. Picture this. A patient diagnosed with 4 pretty significant narrowings in their coronary arteries. You could see them clear as day on the coronarography. But here's the amazing part. After 3 months, right? 3 months on a very specific meal plan, 3 of those narrowings, completely gone.
Vanished.
Just vanished. And the 4th one shrank down to only 10%. The research we looked at calls this magical and impossible, according to the mainstream. So that's our mission today. Let's explore these fundamental, often overlooked biological mechanisms, the real keys to your cardiovascular health.
It really is a remarkable story. And it fits with a worrying trend we're seeing, heart and artery diseases hitting younger and younger people. And so many folks just don't know that atherosclerosis can be reversed. It's possible. And there's history here, too. An old Indian study apparently showed atherosclerosis regression. But getting it published was tough because, well, the source says it disrupts the established order, challenges the status quo.
Right. Okay, so let's unpack this properly. How do our arteries actually work? What are these hidden structures that are so important? Maybe let's start with visualizing the arteries themselves. Think of them as the pipelines for your blood. Yeah. The very inner lining.
Yeah.
It's called the endothelium, and it's incredibly thin, just 1 cell thick, like a really crucial, delicate barrier, the guardian of your blood vessels almost.
Yeah, 1 cell thick. It sounds fragile, but its job is huge.
Like the lining of your gut, maybe? That kind of first defense?
Exactly like that. A really good analogy. And its functions are critical, multifaceted. First off, blood pressure regulation. Super important. It emits nitric oxide, NO. This molecule tells the artery muscles to relax, expand, makes them more elastic, pliable, and that directly lowers blood pressure.
Okay, so NO is key for blood pressure. What else?
Well, then there's clot prevention. The endothelium actively works against clots forming. We saw this compelling case, right? A patient, 0 calcium score, looked perfectly healthy on scans, still had a heart attack. Why? Pro-clotting factors were high, but changing their lifestyle actually reversed the cause of that clotting tendency. Pretty amazing.
Wow. Okay, so blood pressure, clots, what else?
Inflammation control. Think of it as a filter. Really important for organs like your kidneys. If that endothelium gets damaged, it gets leaky, permeable. And then pro-inflammatory stuff can just spread right through the body.
Not good.
Not good at all. And finally, it's even involved in the immune system. It kind of oversees the white blood cells that can end up building those atherosclerotic plaques.
Okay, so this 1 cell layer, the endothelium, does a ton. But you mentioned something even thinner, the glycocalyx. You said it's like projections on top.
Yeah, like a fuzzy coating or a delicate forest sitting right on top of the endothelium.
And the research claims it might be the largest organ in the body, bigger than skin. That sounds wild.
It does sound wild, doesn't it? But think about the surface area inside all your blood vessels. It adds up. And if it is the largest organ, or even just massive, and it's been largely overlooked, that's a huge blind spot in how we've traditionally thought about heart health, isn't it?
Definitely reframes things. So what does this glycocalyx actually do?
Okay, its functions are vital. It maintains the integrity, the sort of cohesion of that whole vascular barrier. It regulates how permeable the blood vessels are, controls what gets in and out, and crucially, like the endothelium, it protects against clots. Damage here. That's like opening the floodgates for atherosclerosis to start forming.
Okay, so damage is the trigger.
Exactly. And this helps clear up a big misconception, too. If these layers, the endothelium and the glycocalyx, are healthy and doing their job, then LDL cholesterol, the so-called bad cholesterol, it doesn't really penetrate. It can't get in to form plaque.
So it's not just about LDL levels then?
It's not just about the LDL. It's about the inflammation and the damage to these protective linings that lets the LDL become a problem. That's what kicks off the whole cascade.
Right. That makes sense. So these layers are working incredibly hard. What fuels them? What kind of energy keeps this system running?
Yeah, good question. The endothelium's energy needs are fascinating. It does use glucose, yes, but, and this is key, it mainly gets it from internal processes, like gluconeogenesis in the liver. Your body making its own sugar when needed.
So not from, like, eating a bowl of oatmeal for breakfast.
Precisely, not from that external dietary sugar load. The body is smart, it makes what it needs, generally. But here's where it gets really interesting, according to the sources we looked at. Ketones. You know, from burning fat, they're described as a decidedly better and more efficient fuel for the endothelium.
Better fuel. Okay. Let's circle back to nitric oxide, NO. You mentioned it relaxes arteries, but the research also called it a friend and foe. How can it be a foe?
Right, it's about balance. NO is definitely your friend when it's keeping blood pressure normal, relaxing vessels, preventing clots, all good stuff. But if things are out of whack, say there's a lot of inflammation or it reacts with damaging free radicals, it can actually contribute to oxidative stress. It can damage tissues itself, so context matters.
Okay, balance is key, and you said NO needs help. Allies or cofactors?
Exactly, it doesn't work in isolation.
Yeah.
So what helps your body make enough of this crucial molecule? Well, first up is vitamin D.
Ah, the sunshine vitamin.
Yep, but it's really more like a hormone. We know it's vital for immunity, bones, mood, but deficiency is directly linked to poor NO production and hypertension, high blood pressure. We've seen that supplementing for several months can actually help normalize blood pressure in some people.
Interesting. What else?
Arginine. It's an amino acid. You get it from protein. It directly influences NO production. So if you're deficient, you can get impaired NO function and, yeah, increased risk of hypertension.
Okay. Vitamin D, arginine.
Testosterone. Also crucial for forming NO.
Yeah.
And things in our environment, even our diet, that lower testosterone, they can indirectly contribute to higher blood pressure.
Makes sense. Keep going.
Magnesium. This one helps relax the blood vessel muscles directly, helps regulate blood pressure, and critically, it helps prevent calcium from depositing in the arteries. I still remember from my pathology days seeing arteries during autopsies that were literally calcified. You could feel it. They were crunchy.
Crunchy arteries. Wow, that's a vivid image. What does that mean functionally? When they get crunchy, is that reversible?
It means they're stiff, brittle, they've lost all their elasticity, huge risk for rupture or blockage. Now, severe calcification is really tough, but that patient story we started with the disappearing narrowings, that suggests there's more potential for reversal even when things look bad than we used to think. The body has amazing capacity if you give it the right conditions. And the last key ally for NO, vitamin K2,
K2, right.
mostly made in your intestines, its job is to direct calcium where it should go, your bones, and actively prevent it from building up where you don't want it, like in those coronary arteries.
Okay, so we have this incredible, intricate protective system. Endothelium, glycocalyx, NO network, all these helpers. What is it, then, that just tears it all down? What's the main threat?
According to this research, the number one culprit, the thing that really devastates both the endothelium and the glycocalyx, is insulin resistance.
IR.
Insulin resistance, okay.
And the root causes mentioned, pretty straightforward, inappropriate eating. Specifically, diets high in carbohydrates and eating too often, which, flies directly in the face of a lot of standard advice, doesn't it?
Yeah, they eat frequent small meals and get 45–60% of calories from whole grains advice. Exactly, that classic mainstream recommendation. There's a direct contradiction here.
So walk us through it. When insulin resistance kicks in, what actually happens to your arteries?
Okay, it's like a domino effect, a really negative cascade. First, even though there's tons of sugar in the blood, hyperglycemia, the endothelium itself is basically starving for energy. Insulin isn't working properly to get the glucose into the cells.
Starving in the midst of plenty. Wow.
Precisely. And all that excess glucose floating around, it directly damages the glycocalyx, pokes holes in it, makes it leaky, creates those open gates for atherosclerosis we talked about.
Okay, damage, leakiness. What else?
Nitric oxide signaling gets totally messed up.
Yeah.
You produce less NO, so arteries constrict, blood pressure goes up, and that high pressure itself, it mechanically batters the glycocalyx even more, vicious cycle. Then the endothelium gets permeable, leaky, right? So it can't contain inflammation anymore. Inflammation starts spreading throughout the body.
Systemic inflammation.
Exactly. And finally, those anti-clotting substances that the healthy endothelium and glycocalyx make, their production gets impaired. So your risk of blood clots just shoots up, leading to heart attack, stroke, the really bad outcomes.
It paints a pretty grim picture of IR's effects, which brings up that big question again. If it's so damaging, why do we keep hearing advice that seems to, promote it?
It is a critical question,
Okay.
and the research we reviewed points fingers at several aspects of, let's call it the mainstream or matrix system advice. Things like the dietary recommendations, eating high-carb stuff like whole grain bread, oatmeal for breakfast, causes those blood sugar spikes, hyperglycemia that damages the glycocalyx.
Right.
Then cooking oils, frying with rapeseed oil, sunflower oil. The research says their chemical bonds are unstable, especially under heat. They break down, release floods of free radicals, cause systemic inflammation,
Yeah.
more damage to the endothelium and glycocalyx. There were even diagrams showing the bonds breaking.
Unstable oils.
Okay. Meal frequency. That advice to eat 5, 6, even 8 small meals a day, often carb-heavy snacks, leads to constant hunger, constant insulin spikes, never gives your system a break.
Yeah.
There's also just a basic lack of awareness in many conventional circles about the endothelium and glycocalyx even existing, let alone their function. Hard to protect something you don't know about.
True.
And finally, the issue of problematic science. Studies sponsored by industry. The source gave examples like soda companies funding studies saying their drinks are hydrating or diet versions are good for weight loss while totally ignoring the inflammatory impact of artificial sweeteners or other ingredients.
Right. It clouds the picture.
Yeah.
And the results, well, and they seem to speak for themselves, don't they? We see rising rates everywhere. Metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, heart attacks, strokes. And not just in older people. We're seeing this in people in their 20s, even younger. Something is definitely not working with the standard advice.
Exactly. It just doesn't add up. But if insulin resistance is the core problem, then the solution, logically, is to do the opposite of what causes it. The focus has to be on reversing IR, lowering insulin levels.
Okay, do the opposite. Sounds simple, but maybe not easy. What does that actually look like on your plate? How do you build a meal that fights IR?
Well, the meal protocol laid out in the research is pretty clear. The foundation. Foods that don't spike your insulin, primarily that means meat and eggs.
Okay.
And red meat gets special emphasis. Why? It's packed with stuff that protects your vessels. Zinc, for instance, which is crucial for healthy testosterone levels. Highly absorbable iron. Plus, it gives you complete protein, including that arginine we talked about for NO production.
Got it. Meat and eggs is the base. What about fats?
Big change there. Swap out those unstable oils, sunflower, rapeseed for healthy, stable cooking fats. Things like coconut oil, real butter, suet, tallow. Olive oil is mentioned as an option too, maybe not for high heat though.
Stable fats.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Anything else to add?
Yeah, for nutritional synergy. Add some greens, like arugula or rocket, depending on where you are. Good source of vitamins C and E, which help protect vessels from oxidative stress.
Grains, Chet.
And a really vital add-on, pumpkin seeds. These things are powerhouses. Loaded with magnesium, remember, for blood pressure and stopping calcium buildup. Plus zinc and selenium, which is also great for cardiovascular health, and even linked to lower cancer risk.
Pumpkin seeds. Okay.
And it's important to note, this isn't necessarily pushed as a strict carnivore diet. It's framed as a complete meal designed specifically to help reverse those atherosclerotic changes and protect your arteries.
Right, a targeted approach.
Yeah.
Now, beyond the food itself, what about other lifestyle factors? Do they play a role in this reversal picture?
Absolutely. The studies that show atherosclerosis reversal, they consistently find other changes happening alongside the diet shifts. It's usually a package deal. Simple things like activity, just going for a walk after meals can make a difference.
Movement. Okay.
Getting sun exposure for natural vitamin D, that's important. But the research also really stresses supplementation for vitamin D, again, because most people just aren't getting enough to reach optimal levels.
Right. Supplementation is often key there.
And then there's the mind-body connection. Things like meditation, other forms of physical activity you enjoy, and just generally managing stress better. It all contributes.
So it's a whole lifestyle shift, really.
Yeah.
Diet, movement, sun, stress. And this complete approach, this is the kind of thing that led to that incredible patient story we started with, the reversal.
Exactly. That's the kind of protocol we're talking about.
Okay, let's try and bring this all together then. This has been quite the deep dive. We've had some real aha moments, I think, uncovering the surprising vital roles of the endothelium and that mysterious glycocalyx, really understanding nitric oxide better, its helpers, the cofactors, and then seeing so clearly how insulin resistance, which seems to be fueled by a lot of mainstream advice, just devastates your arteries.
It really does highlight the power you have, doesn't it? By understanding these deeper mechanisms, and then being willing to take an approach that might seem counterintuitive at first, but is actually deeply logical based on the biology. Because, knowledge is great, but it's most valuable when you actually understand it and apply it.
So true. Okay, final thought for everyone listening. If this deep dive shows we potentially hold so much power over our own arterial health just through these kinds of dietary and lifestyle choices? What other health outcomes, maybe things currently seen as impossible to reverse, might actually be within reach if we look at them differently? What really stood out to you from everything we covered today? And speaking of overlooked details, maybe continue your own deep dive by looking into the surprising, often unknown symptoms of vitamin D deficiency. You can definitely learn more by exploring further resources on that.